Hello, welcome students. We'll study the third poem of Hornbill, the poetry section, The Voice of Rain by Walt Whitman. And he was a famous American poet who born on the 31st May 1819 and died 26 March 1892 at the age of 72. And is famous as a poet, essayist and journalist. And let's start the poem. In this video I will give the summary. I will teach you the and the critical analysis of the poem The Voice of Rain. So let's start the summary. In Walt Whitman's The Voice of the Rain, the poet here the personified figure of the rain compares itself to poetry, and in describing its own cyclical nature, the rain also illuminates the essential characteristic of poetry. The rain thereby functions as an extended metaphor for poetry itself, asserting that poetry not only shares a rain-like life cycle, but is also vital and nourishing for the world. So the summary in short: who are you? And I asked the light rain, and which oddly enough with the following: I am the poem of earth. The rain said, in an everlasting circle, I rise as vapor from the land and sea to the sky, and from there, and while in the form of a cloud, both different and the same from what I was before, I fall to wash away the earth's drought and fill every part of it with water. And without me, everything on earth was like a seed and that couldn't grow. And forever and throughout day and night, I replenish the places I come from, making them beautiful and clean, just as songs. The poetry, well after being written, eventually written lovingly to the places or people, it means the poet and the composer here, the poet or the composer, they came from, regardless of whether they were heard or appreciated. So let's start the critical analysis. In response to the speaker's question, who art thou? Means who are you? The rain identified itself as the poem of earth, establishing the rest of the poem as an extended metaphor. The rain then describes the three stages of its life cycle, the first being evaporation, and what that eternal I rise impalpable out of the land and the bottomless sea. The rain has not yet taken physical form, much like the initial thought behind, like that of a thought behind a poem. It's in the mind of the poet or the composer. So the first stage, that is comparison, the poem and the comparison in between the poem and the rain. It is in the first stage. So initially thought, it is as thought behind a poem, like just before taking shape on a page. And this line may also refer to the poetic tradition of drawing inspiration from the natural world, as though a poem is rising from nature itself. It be the land, sea, the nature. The next stage is condensation, the upward to heaven, whence vaguely formed, altogether changed, and yet the same. The rain is now a cloud. The rain now, and this evaporation, the first stage, that change into cloud, visibility is there, and which corresponds to the poet's the thought. The first stage, what is the poem's first stage? That thought in the mind, that initial composition of a poem, and to the poet's initial composition of a poem, when their ideas come together to form a visible work. The cloud is visible cloud is visible and the poem is also visible now. Okay, and the final stage is precipitation, the point at which the rain at last falls to the earth. And it falls to the earth, and I descend to lap the drought atoms dust layers of the globe. Here, the rain is crucial to world's health and survival, nourishing and it after drought, continuing the extended metaphor. And the poem makes it clear. That poetry shares this vital role, replenishing humanity with life, just as rain replenishes the earth. It's a beautiful the poem and the poetry, the poem, that is the poetry here, the creation of the poet, and also the comparison between the poetry and the rain. Very beautiful. And towards the end of the poem, the rain again highlights its role, life-sustaining force, claiming that poetry is just as essential. The rain explains how seeds remain seeds only, latent, unborn, without itself, and how it gives back life to its own origin, and it evaporates from one place and later returns water to the same place. Similarly, a beautiful comparison here is also. And similarly, the poetry brings inspiration to readers who may be inspired to write their own poems and thus continue the creative cycle. The rain mention of unborn seeds also situates poetry as a life source, and is suggesting that humans need poetry to grow, just like seeds need rain. And the final two lines draw another direct link between poetry and rain. For song is showing from its birthplace after fulfillment, wondering that is wrecked or unwrecked, and duly with love returns. Like rain, poetry, the song, rises from a point of origin. It's in the heart of the composer, the poet, and wanders perhaps like a cloud, as it assumes a form, and then returns to its creator with love, regardless of whether it was noticed or appreciated, that is wrecked or unwrecked. So beautiful comparison here also, and the word love further enriches the connection that the poem draws between poetry and rain. Until this point, the rain described its life cycle as natural and perhaps unavoidable, but here it seems instead like an act of love. The rain's personification was already clear from the poem's onset, and yet the rain now seems like a more complex, soulful being, for it is capable of loving the earth on which it falls and from which it rises, same place it returns. And these characteristics is perhaps made more beautiful by the fact that the speaker is standing directly in the rain amidst a soft falling shower, and the speaker is standing directly in the rain amidst a soft falling shower, and while the rain is speaking, and the speaker perceives directly that poetry, like rain, and is an act of love, part of the earth, sustaining and enriching its occupants just as rain sustains the land. So thank you, students. This is the beautiful comparison by the poet Walt Whitman with the rain and the poem, the poetry. So thank you, and please subscribe and like for the next video. In the next video, I will give you the line by line explanation of this particular poem. Yep. voice of rain. Okay, thank you for watching.